Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to another episode of Off the Wall, powered by CGL Console Gaming League. I am your host, Big Man, Mr. Lucio over here, Dazzle167. And today, we got a different kind of show for you. Today, we have a show where it's going to focus not so much necessarily on just an interview. We are going to have that, but we are also going to do a coaching session. So I believe Jane has done this in the past. So we're going to try to do that. Now, here as my mentor, my coach, Master Professor Lucio of the School of Chrissychan, Mr. Chrissychan himself. Say hello to the people, Chrissychan.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up? So, all right. So, we're gonna do the things a little bit different than the usual interview. We're gonna have a few a few coaching things, and we're definitely gonna talk about Lucio for sure and his impact on the game. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about Chrissychan because I want the people to know a little bit about him. First of all, we know that you are, well, if you don't know, you should know. Chrissychan over here is a console tournament champion and through the Lame Sauce tournament, correct? You're in the winning team for JTA's fan club. So tell us a little bit about that. How was that?
It was honestly my first tournament, and it was like the first time I've ever scrimmed like with a team. So it was really new to me, and I had like a different play style like when I first joined them. Like I was really like over aggressive at the time, and I didn't really understand like why like things weren't working until like I started watching Slylight Cooper, who's also on our team, and I started like spectating him, and I realized that sustain for Lucio in a GOATS competition is a lot more valuable than getting picks and stuff. So, but it was really fun.
Nice. Well, so that brings me to a few of the questions. Let's talk about how you started. Let's talk about your gaming origin. So what platform did you start playing and what led you to Overwatch?
I've been playing on Xbox for a while. I've been playing like since like 360, and I played like a lot of Black Ops too.
Yeah.
Today, so but I got like an Xbox One, and there wasn't like really any games when it first came out. There was like Watch Dogs and stuff.
Nice.
But,
Hey, that's a good game though. You can't knock that. That's a good game.
Definitely wasn't bad. But the first game like that I really got into was like Destiny 1. Probably.
Oh yeah. Hey, me too. I love that game. That game was awesome.
Yeah. And its prime, Destiny 1 was so much fun.
Oh, for sure. I spent a lot of time doing Vault of Glass and Crota, and yeah, that was almost like a family thing for me. I did that with I was doing raids with my wife and my daughter. It was actually really fun. So what was it about Overwatch that when you saw it you were like, oh, I got to play this game. It seems fun, or what was it?
Well, for me personally, it was like I liked the style of the game like a lot when it first came out, but like I think May was like the first character I really liked a lot.
Okay.
So like when Beta came out, like she was like the only character I played.
Wow, I bet you made a lot of people angry.
Definitely.
For sure.
But,
So then let me ask you this. I think that I mean obviously a lot of people know you as Lucio, especially from from the tournament and watching you win the finals there. But what makes him so appealing to you? Why did you play him a lot more, and what was it about his kit that you really liked?
Well, when I first started playing Overwatch, I was like a DPS player.
Okay.
Like I was like a flex kind of player. Like I'd play like whatever I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like Reaper and Bastion in season 2, and so towards like the end of the season, I started playing on PS4 a little bit, and I got forced on the Mercy in a 6-stack.
Yes.
And so I did really good on Mercy, and then they wanted me to keep playing it, so then I started playing a lot more Mercy. And so yeah, but with Lucio, that started like towards like the end of season 3. I want to say it was like towards like the end of season 3. I found DSP Stanky.
Oh yes, yeah. Can't forget those days for sure.
Big man himself. And basically, like, I liked his playstyle a lot because he was playing Lucio like a completely different way, like than you would normally see him be played. And
yeah, he was ultra aggressive, very very DPS focused, but he would frag out, right? So it was very cool to see a support do that, especially Lucio, where you wouldn't think of using, especially back in those days, you wouldn't think of using him that way. So for sure. So let me ask you this thing. Let's talk about Lucio himself, right? What is it about Lucio, his kit specifically, that you think that makes him such a good character in the game? Like, what do you think is so specific about him that makes him great?
Well, definitely a speed boost, obviously. His speed boost potential is really good. Or like his peel potential with speed boost is really good because you're able to get people like in and out really quickly, like whenever you want, and you can kind of control a fight like a lot easier than other characters can. Like Lucio's really compared to like Brig a lot, but Brig now can't really control a fight like Lucio can.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like peeling, like Lucio's main job is to peel, like for his supports, for his tanks. Like if
Yeah.
your Reinhardt is getting like surrounded, like completely surrounded, like you're gonna boop them back, and your Reinhardt's gonna have a lot less pressure on him. So
Okay.
that's where I feel like Lucio is like he his meta potential is really good because of what he can do with like a team that knows what they're doing. Like
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And I think like you said, he's the only character who really has a speed boost, at least on cooldown. I know that in the past, obviously Anna had the nano boost that gave you speed, which was nerfed, and now is no longer like that. Brig now has this kind of like a little speed boost when you ult with her. But as far as abilities go, Lucia's the only one that has a speed boost, so he is very integral. So obviously there's like those things about his kit that are really cool. There's like the wall riding. There's the ability to like engage and disengage whole teams, right? Just to move as a unit. So tell me. Let's start with the people who want to start getting into playing Lucio. If you were to give somebody advice on let's say I just started playing the game and I really like I just like how he looks. I think Lucio looks like a cool character. What are some do's and don'ts when you first start playing Lucio? Like when you see people at lower elos who play Lucio and they don't do a good job, what would you give them an advice on how to get better at it?
um well, it's kind of difficult because uh, there's like a lot of like a lot of like micromanaging for Lucia. Like
Yeah.
you want micromanaging like a lot of different things. Like you want to have your mind on different things. Like a lot of the time, it's hard to explain, but when like for low elo Lucio, like what you want to be doing is you want to be pressuring like the front line basically. You want to boop the Rhine like out of position like a lot. You want to be controlling high ground like whenever you see someone up on a high ground, like because high ground can be like completely just such a good tool for some characters like Diva, Widow, Soldier, like hit scan characters and Diva. You kind of like want to like low elo for Lucio as well. You want to be staying back with your team a little bit more because your supports down in the like low elo, they can't really stick up for themselves like in GM or something. Like you want to be sitting back with them and want to give them what like you need to. Basically, you want to either speed them back or speed them forward like to your tanks, or you want to just heal them like in the back. Like if you need to pop amp, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's like that definitely distinguishes different playstyles too, because like you mentioned before, a lot of people who are in the lower elos like gold, platinum, silver, bronze, or diamond, or anything like that, sometimes like I see a lot of people do what you said. You contest the high ground. You're in the front. You're booping the Rhine away. You're trying to create space with the tanks alongside, and then just also contest the high ground. Now, but you also mentioned how once you get into the higher tiers, Masters, Grandmasters, Top 500, you also have to stay back with the team a lot more because the other support is prone to getting dive, dove. I mean, they're prone to getting a lot more pressure at that level. So how do you mix those play styles together at higher elos? Is it even possible to play an aggressive Lucio that contests the high ground at a higher elo? And if so, what's the balance? What do you have to do then?
Well, it's actually a really good question because I to kind of adjust my play style personally, like to like a more defensive. For me, it was I had to like I have to play aggressive in a ghost competition. That's the only way like you're gonna be able to have any value for your team. And so what you're trying to do is like when you're mixing both those play styles together is you're gonna be chilling like with your front line a lot. Like your tanks, you're gonna be with a lot, and you're basically gonna give them the auras like necessary to push through choke. Like you're gonna be calling your like the main aura that you want to stick to like a lot of the time. And so it's like you're kind of looking at the fight and seeing like, oh, like I see like we're getting like bashed like into our back line, like we're getting pushed back basically. So like you want to say like, oh, I'm passive healing, like if you're a heat vamp or something, or if like you want to save vamp for an engagement. But there's like a lot of different things that you have to do. Like with speed boosting, you're mainly going to be speed boosting for an engagement, obviously, and you want to go like chase staggers with like your Zarya or something. Like if you get two picks in a fight, like tell your Zarya or your Zarya should tell you like, hey, let's go up for staggers. Like we should go like push up, like it'll charge, stuff like that. And the like in a composition like that, you should have like in the back of your head, like you should know who's going to stick back like on the point and who's going to go chase staggers for upcharge.
Okay, so what I'm hearing a lot about is, and I've heard this before from a lot of players, and you know, and I've personally done this myself too, which is communication is key with Lucio, right? Because you control a big portion of the fight as far as how the pace it goes at, right? You need to communicate to people like your Zarya who wants to get charged to whenever they're up front. You need to tell them, hey, you're on speed boost, come back out, or you know, you have to do certain things. Now that's a very good way of exchanging the fight in the front. But then how do you balance peeling for the support in the back, and when is it a good idea to, you know, to do one or the other? Like I feel like there's, you know, I see a lot of other Lucios play, and sometimes, you know, they either do one or the other, right? And sometimes they're like, oh, they're in the front line, they're doing what they need to do, but their Ana's dead, you know, or they're Zen, or you know, whoever else is the other support. So how do you balance that out? What is it? Is it going to be game dependent? Is it going to be comp dependent? How do you try to balance those two styles there?
There's like a lot of different factors to that. It is definitely depend on like what comp you're going to run a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the time, because it's like if you're running like dive or something, like yours like like old school dive, I guess it's like a
Yeah.
good example. Your Zen, he's so like he's so like diveable in the back line, especially like on like a map like Nimbani or something, where high ground is everything. High ground is key. You want to control high ground like as much as possible. So like a lot of the times what you're going to be doing is Lucio's aura is really big, obviously now. Or like obviously it's bigger, but it's smaller. But
Yeah, it's
with
not
that,
season one where you had like you could go the entire map, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
like in terms of like an aura, it's pretty big. But with with that, it's you want to be if you're gonna hold high ground, you what you can do is a lot of the time is you can look down and you can see like where your aura is going to hit. So what you can do is like while you're holding high ground, you can hold like off to like the coast of the high ground basically, and your
Hmm.
aura hitting people like feathered down on the ground a lot of the time. So that's like a good way, like that's like a good reminder to yourself, like like if you know like they're in your aura basically. So like you can be holding high ground and give your tank speed, and then at the same time you can give your Zen speed to like either get back or get in, like with your team, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So then let me ask you this. You did mention this before, and this kind of brings me to my next question, which is sort of you sort of answered it, but I kind of want to get a clear cut definition and also see what you did as far as this. So we mentioned before how like sometimes I see a lot of people who play in platinum as a Lucio or gold as a Lucio, and they feel stuck sometimes. Sometimes they feel like they are a serviceable healer. They heal people. They use speed boost a little bit, but they can't seem to get out of that elo for some reason. You mentioned how at lower elos you can kind of get away with contesting high ground, 1v1ing maybe even like I don't know, people who are in the high ground like soldiers and McCree's and like well, maybe not so much McCree, but people like that, so like snipers and stuff like that. You can kind of contest them because maybe mechanically they're not as good as people in higher elos, or maybe because you just have the ability to do so. Now, do you think that's a good way to climb, and how did you climb yourself? Like, what did you do that it clicked for you? Oh, this is how I'm climbing as Lucio, or this is how I'm gonna climb, even as a support from those. Like, what would you suggest to people in those elos?
Well, if you want to like climb out of lower elos, like I would definitely find like people like around your rank that like can do their job. Obviously, like duos and trios are like the way that you want to climb. That's just kind of like a known fact by now. But with like actually like just mechanical skill and like getting better as a player, it's a lot of the times it's dependent on like what your team needs at the time as well. Like it's like if your team is down, like, or they're consistently like not winning fights, like as a Lucio player like me, you feel helpless like when you're trying to help your team. It's just like, well, what can I do? Like, you guys kind of die every time I'm trying to speed boost us in. Like, we don't listen to something. Like, it sometimes there's like problems. So as Lucio, like, what you can do sometimes is you can go into like the back line, and what you can do is like you can poke them from like a different angle basically, and you can draw eyes to you. And then what you do is you come that to your team, and then say, hey guys, like I have like one or two of them like looking at me right now. Let's try to push in like a little bit. Like, you basically want to try to draw attention, try to like there's a thing like that I do a lot personally, which is like I sometimes will get a little bit over aggressive or something, and then I'll get punished for it. Like, it happens. Like as a Reddit Lucio, like it'll happen. Like, it happens to everyone. But with that, it's like to get better at 1v1ing people, I play a lot of like FFA. Personally.
Okay, that's a good way to try. Yeah.
It's because in free for all, what you're doing is like, what are you doing mainly all the time? You're 1v1ing people. Like, you're basically, when you're wanting like 1v1ing people in free for all, you're learning slowly. You're like, okay, so if I'm going against a Roadhog, what do I want to do? I want to play line of sight. I want to get his hook down, and then I want to try to just like hit him with as many headshots as possible and try to burst him down. And normally, like in a 6v6 kind of situation, when you're versing a Roadhog, he's just free of charge. You're just basically trying to get his hook down, and then you're farming him. Like, those are the two things that you're doing to a Roadhog.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially because you could keep, he's a slow target, so you could keep dinking him in the head and keep getting as much charge as you can, booping him off. And as long as the hook is gone, then you're pretty good. So then let me okay, so before we continue our Lucio questionnaire here real quick, I just want to something was brought to my attention recently that I needed to throw back to you really quick. So on Twitter, when you won the Lame Sauce tournament, there was a picture of you where you had half of your hair covering your face, and someone stated, "Hey, you guys got beat by a Lucio who only has one eye." So we're here to inform everyone that Chrissychan indeed has two eyes.
That was sham.
So okay, non-serious question. How do you deal with your hair blocking your view when you are playing Overwatch?
I'll be honest. I put my hair when I play.
Good choice. Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, so that's,
Nice, nice. Okay, so let's go back to some of the Lucio stuff real quick. Um
uh,
so
black.
I was talking to a few people about Lucio's. Shout out to a lot of the Lucios out there, a lot of top Lucios out there. I was talking to some of them, um, and we have people like Dexento, Well Plums, Lunch Table, a lot of these other Lucios, and I had conversations with some of them, and they mentioned how some of your play style is. Like you said, it can be aggressive. It can be a little more conservative. But the best feature that you have personally as a player is that your shot calling is actually really good. That sometimes that might be your best Lucio feature, is that you as a shot caller are very good. So tell us how somebody who plays Lucio, let's say they got good at mechanically at Lucio, and they know how to wall ride and they know how to do certain things, but they're not as communicative. So what is Lucio's job as a shot caller? What should he be saying in comms, and how does he how does he shot call, basically? Like, what does he have to do?
Um, for me personally, so when I first started playing Lucio, I like I said, I watched like a lot of PSP Stanky,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, I would listen to his comms like a lot, and I would be looking at like what he's doing, and I'd be trying to like get into his head and like think about his thought process basically. And so it's um so like when my shot calling like first started, it started like really small. Like it was like if I saw Hog use hook, I'd say, "Hey guys, Hog use hook." Like it's like small things. Like you have to start like you gradually start learning it like a lot more like over time. But what you normally want to be shot calling a lot. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but for like for the aura that you want to be sticking to a lot is you want to call it out to your team, like whatever aura you primarily want to use, you call it out. Like you want to say, hey guys, I'm gonna pass the speed us and I'm gonna amp us like past the choke or something. Like you kind of want to strategize like a little bit with your team, like when you are shot calling. But in terms of actually like shot calling and telling your team where to go, you're gonna be calling out like because supports have a different view on the fight than tanks a lot of the time. And so what you're going to be doing a lot is you're going to be calling out like cooldowns that are valuable to them, like or valuable to someone living, basically. So like on a nade, Torb overload. That's like a weird example, but stuff like that, like Roadhog heal, Zarya personal bubble and support bubble. Like those are like really good things to call out. And so you basically want to call out people that are out of position, where like a squishy is positioned. You want to call out like when you want to engage. You want to call out like when you just want to sit back and sustain a bit, like as well. Like you want to call out like when you're amping heals so that your team knows and like not to go like too deep like into them basically. So like your team knows to like just sit like in a group basically and not push past like without their speed boost. But shot calling is like really weird. Like for a lot of players, like a lot of players don't really understand it. But it's like really small, like gradual, like you'll gradually build it up like over time if you just do like small things. Like if you call out small things like one at a time, like you'll start just putting it like into the back of your head. It'll start becoming like muscle memory.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I feel like game sense is also tied into that, because sometimes lower elo players may lack the game sense necessary to realize that, hey, this person's ability's on cooldown, or or somebody's out on the flank or something like that, and sometimes if you call those things out, Roadhog uses hook, Reaper's on the flank, he's behind us, or things like that. It definitely becomes a value. So now shot calling doesn't necessarily have to be all about calling where you're going to go and how you're going to do things, although you do have that ability because again you control the pace of the game through your speed. But for you, are you sometimes an in-game leader in the sense that you tell people what compositions to play, or what where to go in the fight, like let's go left or let's go right, or do you see your job mostly as let's just, talk about the ultimates, the cooldowns, when I'm amping up, when I'm speeding in? How do you juggle all of that information, and what do you choose to just say mainly?
For me, it's like compositions. For me, like they can mean some things. Like it's hard to put my finger on it, but I don't really talk about compositions like a lot of the time. Like it's like we'll run what we're on a run. Like it's whatever. Like because as a team, like if you have a team, obviously, because if we're talking about like ladder or we're talking about like actual like top like level games, stuff like that, like it's a lot different like for compositions, because if you're playing like an actual like top level team, like that like the comp you're gonna run, you're gonna have good players playing those roles anyway. But in terms of like the ladder, it's like sometimes you can tell if something's not working. Like you'll have to say it to them. Like you can't call them out like, hey Widow, you're doing complete dog shit. Get the fuck off this character. Like,
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, that's exactly how most people would probably say it too. Just at least from my experience on the ladder as well.
Yeah, but it's like I try to have like a positive attitude, like when actually playing in comp. Like I try to be calling out like a lot of different things, and I definitely wouldn't say I come up with like this the comps or like the strats like in total like just by myself, because like a lot of the times your tanks should be strategizing. Like your tank should be strategizing the old combos and like what you guys want to do, but support should be communicating like what they want to do with their support. It's like, what do you want to defend against? And so a lot of the times for me, like I'm not really ult tracking. I'm more so trying to keep the focus together. Like that's like what I feel like my role is on the team. I'm trying to keep the focus uh to one target, or like to multiple targets that don't have something. Basically, like I'm trying to keep the people like that are out of position, and I'm trying to call them out because they don't have like something that can benefit them, keep them alive in a way.
Gotcha. Well, no, that makes a lot of sense. That made a lot of sense. So you basically, I guess, in my own experience, I've dealt with sort of that sort of thing. Earlier on when I started playing Lucio, I didn't really communicate that much. I just kind of tried to frag out as much as I could. But then, I learned little by little that, if you just call certain things out, people become aware of it, especially if they're if they're communicating, they become aware of it and they support you and what you do, and they accommodate to what you're doing, based on, the game at the time. So yeah, that makes total sense. And like, I think that, the shot calling is one of those terms that is different for a lot of people, but I feel like that is a good way to see it as well, is that Lucio has a certain kit that likes to focus on engagements and disengagements, so he's the good person to call those things. He's in the back line, so he could see the DPS and the tanks in front of him, so he knows like, hey, you guys do this, you guys do that in the fight. And then the tanks and the DPS can focus on doing other things, so that's a good way to see it. So, all right, so that's going to bring us to the another portion of the show. So this is the first time that we're gonna do this. So everybody's gonna have to bear with us here for real quick. But we are going to try to get into some comp games, and you're gonna do some one-on-one coaching with me. For the purpose of this, I'm gonna get on a Smurf account that is roughly around high platinum, right? So we're gonna see more of the high platinum players, and we're gonna see obviously not that big of an elo, but we'll talk about how you'll coach me as to what's going on in the game. How do you think we're gonna be doing different? What should I be doing at that moment? And I'm gonna try to do my best to follow those orders and try to keep the game flowing. So, but for this specific task, I am not going to be able to communicate with my Smurf team, just because logistically I'm gonna have Chrissy in my ear, so I won't be able to actually talk to them directly. However, because that is an important part of Lucio, obviously communicating with your team. However, this is gonna be more focused towards other things like just mechanical skill and positioning and game sense and stuff like that, and we'll talk a little bit about communication and what we would say if we were talking to the team at the moment. So let's do a little bit of that. Chrissy, we're gonna let you go on Discord real quick, and then we are going to go directly onto the live setting, and I will meet you there in a little bit. All right, get your Xbox ready. Let's get some of this coaching ready. All right, here we go. All right, so everybody, here we are live. We are going to be looking at the screen right over here. I'm going to move it. Okay, so this is the first time that we're going to be doing this, okay? So this is not necessarily something that, it's going to be a little tricky because we're going to have to do some live coaching. First off, let me change to my Smurf account because I don't want to be on my main when I do this. And then let me change my headset really quick. All right. So we are going to... All right. We're going to get Chrissychan in here.
Yeah, what's up?
All right. Now we are connected. Hey. And we're live. Let's see if we get everything going here. Make sure that's working. Okay, say something real quick. Okay, perfect. So
hello.
So we can hear you perfectly well now. All right. So let's talk before we do go straight into comp match. One of the things that I was speaking to you before, and we did a little thing off stream a while back ago about some of the sensitivities and the settings that we get into for Lucio. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I honestly think that when you showed me your settings and you told me what you had from your perspective, it really personally changed my game a lot. And a lot of people make fun of me on this because I did climb quite a bit. Obviously I was with the group, so it wasn't just a solo climb by myself, but I did. Yeah. I found myself statistically a lot better, getting a lot more damage, just doing a lot more eliminations, and just overall doing a lot better. So let's talk about some of these settings real quick. Let's look at Lucio. And let's see what settings we have. Now, these are settings that you gave me. Obviously, the sensitivity is going to be dependent on the person itself, right? So for me personally, I like to do 75, but that's just me. Obviously, each person is going to have their own sensitivity and how they're going to be doing this. But talk to me about some of the advanced settings. So aim, assist, strength. Why is it important to have it at 100%?
Well, it's a lot of the settings are like all kind of just like depend on like the person. Like it's all
Yeah.
just like whatever is comfortable for the person.
And
But
this is your
for
personal
me,
setting
it's
though, obviously.
mhm,
So, but for you, what
yeah.
do you think the aim assist strength being 100% is important?
Well, aim assist is really important on console because it makes your aim like a little bit more, I wouldn't say smooth, but it keeps you like onto your target a lot easier.
Okay.
And I tried to like put it down like a little bit, like to like 90, I think, but I was just I couldn't lock onto anything. Like I felt like I was just going past everything.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
I yeah, I just like it being at 100 because I was really used to the old like aim assist settings and stuff like
Mm.
back like before.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Before they were
I
drastically
it was
changed.
hard for me to get used to it.
Sure.
Hmm.
Okay, so then let's talk about aim assist window size. A lot of people don't necessarily understand what exactly is the aim assist window size, and how does it help with your aim assist strength?
Hmm. So the window size I understand a lot more. What like it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's basically just your aim assist has like I think of your aim assist like a box on the person,
Yeah.
and so when you're turning down the window size, like it's so since the aim assist strength is at 100, like it's gonna stay locked onto the person, and so with the window size, I have mine at like 55. That's just like what I got comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
I tried like a couple different things, but with my high sense, I like the window size being a bit bigger. So for me, it was like I kind of fine tuned it to like where I like it, but it's
Okay.
basically what it's doing is when you're turning it down by like a bit, it's think of the box like shrinking like a little bit, like around the person. So like when you're turning down the window size, it's essentially like you're fine tuning like where you want to aim on the person
Gotcha.
and
Gotcha.
like how far like can you aim on the person before your aim just stops working.
Okay, that makes total sense. Obviously, there's got to be like think of it like a
Hmm.
clear box around the character, and the bigger the window
Yeah.
size, the bigger that box is, right? So and then the smaller it is, the
Yeah.
smaller the frame is. So that's a good way of seeing it. All right, so let's go
Hmm.
into legacy mode. Aim assist legacy mode. I have it as on. What's the difference here? What's the difference between on and off?
Um, I it's been a while since I put that in, or like
Yeah.
it's been like a couple months, so I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to like bring back like what it was before the aim assist season change or something.
Gotcha.
It's kind of weird,
The,
but
and
I play
obviously,
with it off personally.
yeah, and that obviously it brings you
Yeah.
to the fact, like once you put it on, the aim assist ease in goes away. You won't be able to actually do it because I'm
Yeah.
assuming it disabled it. So but let's go into aim
Hmm.
smoothing. What about aim smoothing? I have it here at 95. I believe you have it at the same. I think this is the
Yeah.
exact setting. So
95.
what's so important about aim smoothing, and why should it be so high?
So aim smoothing, it's default 100, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
That's what it used to be at least. But I didn't like the aim smoothing change. It was really hard for me to get used to when I first came back because I went to PC
Mm-hmm.
and I went to PC for like a bit, I think like 2 seasons maybe. And when I came back, aim smoothing was added into the game, and like the aim assist window size was added into the game, and I was like, what the like what's going
Yeah.
on? Like like I come back to console and I'm complete shit with sticks, and
Yeah.
and there's new settings so I can't aim. But with aim smoothing, I didn't like it at 100. It felt like too clunky for me,
Gotcha.
and so so if you want your aim to be like less clunky and like a little bit like faster in a sense,
Yeah.
you would want to turn down your aim smoothing like a little bit.
Gotcha.
Like like for me, it helped a lot by turning it down by like 5 points. Like you kind of just want to fine tune it, like
Yeah.
by going down like 5 points. Like if you don't like where it is, where you want to go up like by 5 points.
Okay.
Like that's how I fine tuned like a lot of my things.
That makes sense. And aim technique we have
Yeah.
here as dual zone. Is there anything particular about dual
Yeah,
zone
dual
that
zone.
you like?
Um, if if I recall, because I remember I looked into that a little bit, like the aim techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So with dual zone, what it's doing is it's so when you're moving the right stick,
Mm-hmm.
it's so there's you want to think of it like there's a light circle around your like when you're looking.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're lightly like so when you're tracking someone, you're gonna be like lightly moving the stick, basically. Like that's a given.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be lightly tracking them with your right stick. And so when it's a dual zone, what's happening is it's a lot easier to like slowly aim at something, and then when you go all the way to the edge of your like stick, it gets like a lot faster. So
Okay.
it's essentially like it's a soft ramp, and then it increases by like a lot at the end.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and
That's
that's
how
actually
you think of it.
and that's actually a good way to describe like the aiming style for Lucio itself, because it works well with how you aim and stuff like that. So another few important things that we could just breeze through before we start getting into some gameplay is the allow backwards wall ride. Now this seems like to some people this seems like a no-brainer. But you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember when they first initialized this, I was like, I'm never gonna use this. I'm used to being like normal wall ride, But then, when you first put it on, you're like, oh, I get it now. You could jump a corner while still looking in front of you, and you could get high up without even having to, there's different techniques to it that allow you to do a lot of things. So definitely have that. Now for me personally, and this is obviously going to change depending on how you play, but for me, I went ahead and changed jump to the left trigger, mainly because I tried bumper and I broke like 3 controllers trying to jump. So I went with trigger because it was a lot softer on the controller for me. But obviously I think it's beneficial to a lot of people for them to change the button. I know that there are some claw users out there, so obviously if you play claw and you're well adept at doing that, then A is fine. But for if you're playing normally, then maybe switching, that might be really good. Those are a few more things. I think that as far as settings go, that's pretty much the normal stuff. Obviously, whatever you choose to be the ability is gonna be dependent. So let's get into some gameplay real quick. Now this is gonna be the elo that we're gonna be playing at. We're gonna be playing at 2863, which is like high-ish plat level. So it's not going to be too high, but it's definitely going to be at a decent elo to like learn the character. So let's see. This is also a great map for Lucio, I feel like, because most of these maps have very death ball compositions, and the Lucio can control a lot of the fight. So let's see where we're going. We're going to insta lock Lucio because that's going to be the school of Chrissychan is going to be in session.
Ways.
Yes, we're going to learn. We're going to learn.
Insta lock Lucio.
We're going to learn the Chrissychan way. So we're going to go ahead and just insta lock Lucio. We're going to see what we're working with here. We got Anana, Symmetra, May, me is Lucio. We got a Reinhardt, and hopefully we could get a Zarya, but we will see after that. Let's see. So obviously here as Lucio, what do you think defense wise on this map? How should we play this? Obviously it's gonna depend a lot on the team, but for the most part, personally, I like staying back here a lot and kind of controlling between this and this area. What do you like to do on this map?
On King's Row, I like to
Especially on defense.
Specific. Yeah, on defense, you want to hold like the right corner, basically. So like, there's a doorway. There's like a closed-off doorway, like to the right of the point.
Okay.
And basically, you want to play like that corner and kind of spam from there while your Ryan is like holding like by the like in front of like the statue, kinda like. He should be holding like on that same corner like that you are, kinda. Gotcha. But he's playing like a little bit ahead of you, so that you can like, bring him back and forth like into the fight.
So and that's the other thing too, is that like you might there's no real specific way on how to play the character itself. Obviously in this kind of composition, the Mei is gonna try to trap one of the tanks into the wall, and then we're gonna take advantage of that. But there's also a Widow in play, and there's a lot of these characters that are out of position, so they're getting killed. So we're gonna amp here. Let's see if we can get a little bit of help there.
You should spam at the Widow, by the way. Like, spam at her like a little bit. Like, you basically just want to shoot at her and like get her to like get down. Basically, like you want her to get off her high ground. You're basically just telling her to like fuck off.
Yeah. Okay.
Time.
Okay. So we can definitely do that now. Let's try to get back in there. Obviously, we got ulted by the Junkrat. It looks like the team is probably going to be getting away here really quick. So let's talk a little bit about backing up here. Their team hasn't really gone up front. So we have a Widow here. All right, so School of Chrissychan has told me that I need to contest the Widow. So if she's up here, we need to see if we can get her. But oh, never mind. Symmetra already got her. So we're trying to see if we could contest her, but she's already been up there. We're gonna amp it up over here for Reinhardt. He's already dead. Okay, never mind. We'll go back to the all right, so he just ulted on them. I'm gonna try to get them back as much as possible. My team is kind of split, so it's gonna be
stream delay.
No,
by the way.
Yeah, damn. Okay, this is gonna be tough. People in Minty's asking in chat what elo is this. This is gonna be platinum elo. This is high platinum, 2860, I believe, is around the elo. So let's see.
Whoa.
Hey, Minty, what's up? We're talking about the intricacies of Lucio here. So right now, everybody on the team is dead, and I just got riptired again. So there's not much we can do.
Unlucky.
Yeah, we don't. It seems like we were doing well though at the beginning. So let's see if we could regroup. It seems
like they're running like a Bastion Moira comp or something, like a Bastion Moira and Junkrat.
It does seem that way. They do have.
So
they do have something like that. So what do you say? What do you think is going to be? Obviously, the Ryan is going to be a little hard pressed if we're running a Bastion of our own as well. So I'm gonna see if I can amp it up on this guy.
Try to pressure the Ana. Try to get her cooldowns down, and then just pressure like as much as you can. Try not to get slept.
Yeah, I see people on the front here trying to. Oh no. Uh-oh. That's just me, Neff. Okay. Alright, trying to get out of there. No, it's not gonna work. So in this case, obviously they have a Ana in the back. If I have this, if I'm gonna be able to get in the back line, then maybe I should try to pressure the Ana. Okay, so let's try to do a little bit of that.
It's gonna be. The thing is, it's gonna be kind of hard to get back there because the Moira is gonna be focusing you and like trying to peel for her Ana. So you have to be careful. Like, just I think in this kind of situation.
Well, here's the issue too.
Situation,
we're trickling a lot, so this is gonna be making it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. With so like with the comp that they're running, you want to try to just spam like as much as possible. You want to sit back with your team and try to spam because you're not gonna be able to do much.
Okay.
Like it's either you want to play like that or you want to try to boop like the Reinhardt away.
All right. Well, let's go with something a little more aggressive. Let's see if we can. Oh well, the Ana, there goes the Ana. I didn't even boop her. She just kind of did that to herself. But the Bastion's ulting, so there's nothing we could do over there. So let's go back to spawn. All right, so obviously you can play different ways. You can either fall back, play a little more conservatively, or just try to be aggressive and get some picks in the back line. You know, so because obviously again at this elo, it's gonna be kind of difficult to get a little more cohesion from your team. Correct. So, okay. So right here we have the team. Oh, we got the.
They might have bomb soon, so try to save B drop for that. Like, basically just try to pop it like whenever you think like because you need to time it like really well if you want to save it like when it's like close to people.
Gotcha.
So. Okay, that's actually a good follow up on the shatter.
Yeah. I was trying to speed boost. My speed boost was on cooldown, so I wasn't able to do it. But a good way to do that shatter is to speed boost the Rhine as soon as the. Oh. Okay. Well, that didn't get anybody, so I didn't have to use beat for that. But see, now this is another thing. I feel like I'm holding beat a lot here, but it's mainly because I haven't found a good time for me to necessarily do it. Well, maybe now I gotta use it or lose it, basically.
Yeah. You want to try to like pop beat like whenever there's like a ult that can like hard like hit your team. Like you want to do it for like probably like shatter or like diva bomb.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, right now they
Like,
don't have a grab, so the grab isn't gonna be. I'm
Grab's not a problem.
Yeah. All right, so here we have a Hanzo. Should I go up here and contest the Hanzo? Okay,
yeah,
I tried.
Like,
Yeah, I gotta be careful.
you
Clearly.
get blown up.
Okay, so.
Well, when you're a lot of the thing with 1v1ing is juking. Like juking is a big like thing for Lucia.
Gotcha.
And when you're juking hit scan to projectiles is a lot different for that. So when you're juking projectiles, you want to like stutter step, and what that means is like you want to strafe, and then you want to like throw like a mix up into your strafe basically.
Gotcha.
And so like you want to like kind of stop your momentum like midway through so that they can't predict you like really easily.
Gotcha. Okay, well that makes
But,
sense. Now on PC,
and also,
on PC like doing the juking and strafing like that is kind of easy
yeah.
do you just have to just
You're hitting buttons.
do as good as possible with like just left and right? Is there a rhythm or something that you like to do to like out juke people?
Doing a rhythm, so like when you're juking like with a rhythm, it makes you like really like over time it'll make you really easily easy to hit. So what you want to do is you kind of want to just, so like for me, like when I juke, I kind of just, and
Okay.
so like I'm trying to think of it.
Yeah, but
you
I
wanna,
see
like,
what you're
try
saying.
to
Not necessarily
put
be
it, like, into your own
predictable.
rhythm.
Yeah, not necessarily become predictable where it's
Yeah.
like 1 2 1 2 1, but like maybe like different rhythms, so you could kind of get away with being juked a lot. So okay, I can see that now.
Another way,
Uh huh.
like a way to learn like how to juke is by if you're juking someone and then they just shit on you, like completely dumpster you.
Yeah.
Like a good way to do it is to watch the kill cam and then see like how you were moving on their screen.
Okay.
Like you want to know like how your strafing is gonna look a lot of the time. So it like if you know how your strafes are gonna look, like
Yeah.
and you know how to juke it, like if you know how to juke like a lot of things and you're doing like a great job at like juking things, like you're gonna be super annoying for the enemy team to hit, and you're just gonna be a nuisance to them the entire time.
Gotcha. Okay, so now we're on attack and we have this. So obviously my job is gonna be more on the front line here. I mean, naturally for me, I think being off of the floor itself and just kind of riding walls until I can engage with the team is gonna be key. But I'm gonna try to get my team up and speed boost them
You
in.
can you can try to like play top left, like above the hotel.
Oh,
You
okay.
can try to do something like that too, like where you just spam down at them, or you can try to play top right and spam at them a little bit there. But you got Brick stunned down, which is really good. But your team doesn't really know how to go up on it.
Luckily, I just finished off Doomfist there. He was the only one there. I think it was McCree stun.
Yeah, it wasn't McCree stun. I thought it was a Brick stun at first. Hola.
Hey, all right, we have Evan Vasquez here as a special guest on our coaching. Where Chrissychan over here is coaching me on the School of Lucio, especially for everybody else to see what we can do. So we took point one pretty easily. You know, they I think defense-wise, the enemy team separated pretty quickly. They weren't able to like actually do stuff. So now we're just being ultra aggressive with them right now. I'm trying to go with the Rhine. The Rhine just shattered, so I'm just getting him, you know, shuttling him through and making sure he doesn't die. Which
Also, don't be afraid to like swap auras like on passively like a lot, but you
Yeah.
only want to like stick to like one aura a lot of the time, like when you're amping. Like you
Okay.
want to stick to like that thing so that you can put it to like its full use, like for your amp.
Gotcha. So get the full
Like-
full ampage for one particular song.
It's like you kind of need to think of it like you don't have to be afraid to like swap between auras like when you're amping, but you want to stick to one primarily, like when you're doing one thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I survived the doofus there. Uh-oh, no, I'm not gonna survive that. So okay, so here's one thing that I've learned a lot is that if you stick to walls when you see a doomfist trying to go for you, because a doomfist will try to go for you, sometimes you can survive just basically from getting onto the walls, right? Like a lot of times being on the wall will allow you to not get hit by his ultimate, just because the radius doesn't have that much height. So that's a good. I mean, I feel like sometimes that's a good way to evade that ultimate.
Whenever you're versing Doofus, you want to play up high and up on walls.
Yeah.
Because what you can do is you can bait out his punch, and then you can just kind of farm him after that.
Okay.
You have to be careful because he's gonna want to take you like out of position.
Yeah.
As well. So, like sometimes he'll just like hit your foot, and then you'll go flying like 20 meters, and then you're dead.
Oh yeah, for
That
sure.
happens a lot.
Okay, they just threw a bunch of ultimate at us. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to make them engage with my speed boost. I feel like I think we only have tanks though, so maybe I won't actually engage with the speed boost. Right now we have a few people that are not here yet.
You can try to engage with the beat drop as well. Like engaging with the beat drop, like with your full team, is like can sometimes be really useful.
Yeah.
So
Alright,
like if you've been holding on to beat for a while and you know they don't have any ults that you can defend against, just drop the beat for it, like save your tanks, stuff like that. That was actually a really good beat drop. Saved your Ryan.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
and you guys
figured
have a
I was
shatter.
gonna do it out of engagement, but then I saw that the beat drop. If I go with the beat drop, you know, then it would allow them to survive and also give us a clear engagement as soon as the freeze would get over. So you know, I think those are kind of like risky reward type of beats that not necessarily so clear cut.
Those are really good beat drops. Those what you want to do with the beat drop is like you want to be saving like sometimes when it's like the ladder, like you want to save like one person that is essential to your team comp, like Ryan or like Zarya or something. Like if they're like really low and they're just like kind of getting focused like really hard, like you can just kind of like drop the beat for them and then just make sure that you're an LOS of like your other teammates.
Yeah, no, I could totally.
That's
see
like a
that.
big thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
see that.
with beat drop and aura, they both have like a lasting effect, where like it'll start like okay, so it's weird to explain, but so if you stay like on one aura and then someone walks out of your aura, or like you walk out of like their LOS basically, it'll stay on them for 3 seconds and then it'll go away, unless you change auras, then it'll just go away like instantly. And with beat drop, it stays there for like, so when you beat drop, it's there for like 2.5, 3 seconds later. Like
Gotcha.
it's somewhere around like that time frame. And so what you can do is you can beat drop like around, so you can beat drop like before the corner, and then if your entire team is like around that corner, you can wall ride like on the corner and jump around, and then if they're in your LOS, then you can hit them with it.
Okay, that makes total sense, and I've done things like that before. I think that's a great use of the beat drop, especially taking advantage of like the radius of it too. All right, so here I'm gonna try to engage with my team. Let's do another beat drop.
Yeah.
See if that happens. I got the Ryan boost.
Beat drop
Let's
in
go.
lower ranks is really good for engaging. Nice.
All right, so. Okay, so we got a good
They
engagement
also,
there.
Yeah, that was really good. With grabs, by the way, the best way to like DPS into them, I think I told you the combo that you want to be doing. Like if you're playing aggressive, like into their face.
My bad.
Yeah.
You're good. if you want to play like aggressive into their face, you want to like shoot boop, shoot melee, or you just want to shoot melee combo like consistently.
Okay.
Like melee is really good for finishing off your your burst. So
Okay.
yeah. So like the way that you get like the most damage into one burst is to shoot boop melee like all in one thing. And then if you want to get like the most damage off like at once, you want to shoot boop shoot melee. That's like the main combo.
Shoot, boop, shoot, melee. Okay, I think I got that. All right.
Yeah. You don't want to. The thing is that you can cancel your burst with the boop and the melee. So what you want to do is you want to have like an internal timer for your shooting. So like you want to know like when your 4 bursts are gonna like the 4 shots out of your burst are gonna come out, so that you don't cancel it and then you don't lose out on damage. Basically.
Okay, well that makes sense. I don't know if I affected that hammer down, but let's see if
A lot of the times, yeah, that's actually really good. You basically just want to be displacing grind like as much as possible. You essentially just want to pop like off cooldown just for him.
okay.
Like a lot of the time. Or if you see someone like out of position, like by a coast, you can try to go for a boop on them, like off the map, obviously.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Okay, understood. Oh, that was an unlucky charge by the Rhine for me.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was unlucky, but hey, those charges happen to me more often than not. But
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there.
It happens to me too, don't worry.
Okay, so now I tried to do several things there. I tried to balance a little bit out of like sort of like a conservative Lucio and try to at times try to find my spot to be a little more aggressive. Obviously, you know, there's a risk and reward to being a little more aggressive. Like when I tried to contest the high ground for Hanzo just stormed arrowed me and he was able to get the better of me. But do you think that when things like that happen, you just start playing a little more conservatively because you start respecting that high ground and making it okay? So basically, yeah, that's part of it, right? You read it a little bit, and then if it becomes too reddity, then you're just like, okay, let me bring it back a little bit. Okay.
So, like in my opinion, what I try to do is I it's weird to explain, but like you basically don't want to engage on a target if you know they're gonna have cooldowns that can just completely shut you down like instantly. Like for like a really big example is McCree. Like if you know he has stun, what is he gonna do? He's gonna stun. Like he's just gonna flash you, which is an AOE, and then you're gonna get headshot once, body shot, or you're gonna get or you're just gonna get fanned. Like it's one or the other.
Gotcha.
So, like, when you're engaging onto a McCree, you want to make sure, like, stun is down. Stun has to be down if you want to engage on him, or you can try to juke it. Like, there's only, like, 2 options, but obviously one works a lot better than the other.
Gotcha.
It's like, if you want to be risky, you can just engage onto people, like, and just try to frag them if you really want, but it's, like, you shouldn't expect to climb just by constantly playing aggressive and not playing smart at all. Like you want to make sure like cooldowns are out or you are getting cooldowns out.
Yeah.
So that you can either get out or you can keep killing the person.
Okay, so just be smart about your cooldowns. Make sure that if you're playing too aggressively and if it doesn't pan out, then try switching that play style based on the what's happening on the. All right, now Evan Vasquez and Minty are in the party. Now they were asking to see if we can get into a group together. However, I think for this right now, we're gonna try to keep it we're gonna try to do just 3 games solo and see how it works out. I want people to see how it works out for solo queuing in the lower tiers, because a lot of these people who are going to be playing Lucio and learning from learning Lucio in lower tiers, they might not necessarily have a group, or they might want to know how to play with with some game sense based on the game at hand. So let's try to do another game. I'm gonna do another game where we do a solo queue, and we're gonna try to basically explain, because I feel like a good analysis of that game was that we did a lot of trickling, right? A lot of the people in the game. So in the game, if I was in the game chat, I would have probably explained, hey guys, we need to group up. We're going in 2 or 3 at a time, and it's not working. We need to group up as a team and make a push as a group, and then making that speed boost a little more effective, right? And then another thing was that we didn't really, there wasn't a lot of ultimates to like to really like combo with or do a lot of stuff with. So, we're gonna try to see if I wasn't communicating with them, I'd try to be like, hey, guys, we're engaging, but we're not doing anything. We're not killing stuff. And but I think for the most part, it was okay. It was just, at the end, it was unfortunate that we just lost more team fights than we should have. So obviously it had a big impact on how that works. So let's try this. Route 66. So what are some of the things about Route 66 as a Lucio that you think you should that people should know about this map? Now obviously this is the second payload map in a row that we're gonna go through, but Kings Row obviously has a lot of like places to wall ride, and Route 66 does as well. But what are some of the things that make Route 66 unique for Lucio? How do you like to play Route 66?
So there's a couple of positions that you can take for first point. And what you can do is what I do a lot is I go left side, like I go up top left.
Okay.
And like on attack, obviously. So like I'll go top left, and then I'll go up to like the bridge, like kind of like that area, and I'll scout like for what they have.
Okay.
Like I'll call out like what they have
right,
on their team.
So in this case, they have a McCree up top.
Like 20 seconds in.
McCree up top of the garage, which is something that I would call out. Ana is back down there. Ryan is down in the middle where they got Mercy. And the Reaper is trying to flank, so I'm gonna try to help the Reaper out a little bit. He's going out there.
What you can do is you can play behind the sign, and you can like climb up, and you can hit them with like free damage from like behind the sign area, and you have a free mini over there. So it's really easy.
Okay,
like,
I got
just
the
flank.
I'm gonna contest this.
And you can also shoot from under the sign if you get like behind them.
Okay, that makes sense. Now,
and also that coast is also really good for booping if they position by it.
Yeah, I see that. All right.
Nice.
So we're getting a little bit in here. We're obviously now a big part of I think what Lucio has beneficial is that he's sort of like a garbage man when it comes to like getting kills. If people are low, he's a really good person to like clean up. You think is that a good assessment of how Lucio's kit works?
A lot of the times what I do is like I would say I'm more like for my playstyle I'm more of the engager, and then my second like a DPS will come with me, and then they'll clean up the person because I got the cooldowns out, and now they just have to track or like hit them with 1 damage basically.
Okay, now that's obviously a lot more aggressive than maybe like a more conservative style. So you would say like in this case right now we're at the front, we're at the payload. How would you be more aggressive in this moment? What would you choose to do? To get out there more? I would
play up top right, on top of the garage, because what you can do is you're forcing them to come up to high ground to you. Or if they're playing top left, you want to play under, and then you kind of just want to like spam down at them until they drop down. Then you can start like dicking around with them.
Okay.
Or if they're playing up top and like they're like full on position, then you can boot like ran off high ground, then they're forced to come down. So yeah, that was good on Shinka Hanzo because he uses jump. That was really good. Wontonzo uses jump, he's essentially like a free kill.
Yeah, and I contested the McCree as well, which was another thing. Because I feel like in this elo, you can, like you said, you can do like you can be like an engager, so you can be at the forefront at doing certain things. Like right now, I'm just kind of going into the top right and just seeing what I can engage with.
Yeah. The skybox is also really high, so you can like spawn camp like up on like the top skybox, like on the second point. You can basically go above them, and then you can like misposition them. Like you can just boop them off the high ground, like from like way above them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like it's really easy. Yeah, like
Alright.
you're basically like as Reddit Lucio, what you're trying to do is you're basically just trying to misposition them. You're trying to pull them like you're trying to pull eyes like if you're in their back line. And then you're basically just trying to play out of their LOS, like
Oh, we did the double.
if they're down, like in the
Sorry, I
team
didn't mean
fight.
to do that.
Did you double support ult?
Yeah, we're double support all. I did not
Yeah, it
mean to.
happens.
I'm just trying to get the McCree because I know I saw him flanking for
Yeah.
an ultimate, so I didn't want. I want to make sure that he didn't get that. So
Oh, the McCree ulted?
No,
Is that
well,
what happened?
no, he didn't ult. I felt like he was going to because he was going in the flank. Like now, he's gonna ult now.
Yeah. With if you know someone's going to ult, you kind of just have to like get a reaction time on it, or you have to let them pop that ult, like so that you can ult. Like you gotta have to let them like get up to the positioning, or you have to cut them off at that positioning, like
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Like because preemptively dropping the beat can sometimes just be a throw, like,
Okay.
and then you don't have a beat drop for the next fight where they have like 3 ults to pop on you.
Gotcha. Well, in this case, I meant like he was the McCree. I felt like game sense wise, he was going to ult, and that's why he was getting behind us.
Yeah.
And so I went and engaged him and won against him in the 1v1 to try to get him out. And then as soon as he came out of the spawn area, he ulted, which you know, had that happened differently, it might have been a different. You know, he might have ulted and gotten us killed. Alright, well,
Yeah, like I completely understand it, like game sense wise, like it makes sense.
yeah, I mean, I think that
Some-
that's just
like-
based on the situation too.
Yeah, like sometimes you have to preemptively ult, like for Pharah ult, like you have to preemptively ult, like
Yeah.
otherwise she's just gonna barrage your whole team, and then someone's gonna die, and then your beat drop is for nothing.
Gotcha.
So it's like really situational. But yeah, it's like a lot of like micromanaging kind of things. Like
Oh.
you'll learn from making mistakes.
Gotcha. See, now the McCree did what he was trying to do before, where he went behind us and then got the
high noon
ultimate
off.
off. Yeah, he got the high noon off. I was trying to catch him doing that, but he did it this time. All right, so we're here at the end. Basically, I feel like in this point, you know, especially payload maps, you know, your job mainly here is to just contest as long as possible.
Yeah, another thing that you can do, like on last point thing, like on last point stall kind of situations, you can just go for picks.
Yeah.
Like if you know you can get picks, just go for the picks. And like if you see someone pop a cooldown, like Moira Fade or something, just bully her into existence.
Gotcha.
Basically, like you just wanna see like because they're trying to stall so that they can like they can defend against you. So like if they're starting to use cooldowns, then you want to punish them for using those cooldowns, and it's a lot easier to push.
Now,
So, like if you get a pick, like
Yeah.
for your team, it's worth.
and in a scrim setting, would you say that like, or maybe even in a stack, you know, comp setting where you
Like a
have
stack,
communication, or even if you just have communication with the people in your party, would you say that that end is very important for the Lucio to start shot calling to get like certain calls on certain characters, like for focusing?
Yeah, I mean that's personally what I do. Like it's not like for everyone, obviously. Like
Yeah.
I think shot calling on Lucio is a really underrated thing. Shot calling on Lucio is really big, like
Yeah.
for your team. It's kind of like just as good as like a shot calling Zen. Like a shot calling Zen is super good
Yeah.
because they're keeping the comms like situated like to where it's not just target names that aren't being discorded. So, like, when a Zen actually can communicate and, like, strategize, like, what they want to do with their ults, like, that's super, like, it's super underrated. It's super good.
No, that makes total sense. So, like, in this case, for defense on Route 66, I see a lot of teams go here on top of the garage.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding for usually for how Lucio works is that whenever the team passes through that corner, you just you get your team to like get together and
You drop down.
Speed boost down and just engage on them. So, is there different ways to play Lucio in this type of map, or is that just something that normally would happen?
For defense, what I do a lot is like I tell my team, hey, let's hold down like on the corner, and then we'll basically just start like bullying them like once they turn the corner. And then what you do is you can hold up like top right, like up to high ground, and then kind of like spam them and like get their eyes there. Like you can get them like off high ground if they're positioned up there. You can like boop the Rhine like forward, like past the choke, and then he can't do anything for his team anymore if your Rhine starts bullying him.
Okay.
You know? So it's like, so you basically just want to bully people. Like it's really dependent on your team's positioning though, like 100%. Like if your team isn't willing to cooperate, it's really hard for you to get like proper punishes off against them. That's how I see it.
That makes sense. Well, right here it seems like we were able to just kind of get a few picks and then start engaging the fight. And like I was saying, I was just mostly on speed boost that fight, just trying to get them to engage onto them to the enemy team. Getting picks is really important with Lucio, because even if the team gets a pick, the moment you see that, and the moment you see some sort of clear engagement, like right now they have a pick, so we're gonna try to move back a little bit more, or at least we should be. So you can call out these engagements obviously, and just say, hey, we need to move back a little bit more.
It's like I completely agree with you there. It's really dependent on your team getting a pick, and then you want to say like, okay, I'm gonna amp speed and we're gonna go chase. We're just gonna go like chase them. Like we're just gonna chase daggers, and it's kind of just like that. Like Lucio's a really like he's an enabler. Like that's the word I like to use a lot. Like he enables his tanks to like go ahead and do things like that they would normally not do with a speed boost. So like you want to like the reason why I shot call on Lucio is because your tanks kind of need like a kick in the butt to like do what they want to do like efficiently. And so what you're doing with your shot calling is you're basically giving your tanks like a kick in the butt. Like you're basically saying like, okay, like go, like okay, I'm amping speed, let's go. Like it shouldn't even be like it's the thing is like you need trust between your teammates. If a teammate doesn't trust another, there's no way like strategies are gonna work. There's no way calls are gonna be like constantly heard. Like there's no ult tracking or anything.
Yeah, no,
so
that
like
makes
it's
sense.
really dependent on a lot of other people.
I'm gonna see if I can amp it up here, because
It's like
me and Ryan are very low. We seem to not have the full group, but I have a beat drop, and they do have a Zarya. I don't know if I should wait for the. Oh wait, never mind. Oh, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get the beat drop off. I knew the Zarya was gonna have the grab, but I was almost almost to no health when I did it, and I lost the beat drop. That's gonna happen though sometimes.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really feel it. It fucking sucks, but it's like, like a lot of the time it's just like, okay, I fucked up, guys. Like you kind of just have to tell your team like when you fucked up.
But see, my instinct was that there was gonna be a grab. So had I done it a little bit earlier,
yeah, I completely understand.
I might have been able to get away with it. So now they have a Widow, and I feel like nobody is contesting the Widow. At this elo, you were mentioning before how maybe I can contest them, the Widowmaker, although they do have a Torb right now, so I don't know.
So like what you want to do is against like Torb, you want to just spam his you want to try to like find an angle to his turret. Yeah, like you just want to try to spam at his turret basically. And against like Widow, it's really difficult with the Torb, because if you're out of position, then the Torb turret starts hitting you. But against Widow, you basically just want to control high ground, like when she goes up there. And there's a thing that I do a lot as well, and it's like I'll camp like where she wants to go. So like I'll either like play above where she wants to go, or I'll play like to an angle like where she won't see me if she comes up like instantly. Like she'll have to like look over like to her left or her right, like full on if she wants to see me. So then what that does is like as soon as she scopes in, then you have 4 free headshots and a boom. Like it's easy.
Okay,
it's like you just want to take her like out of position. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so when Widow scopes in, like her strafing is really bad. Like her strafing animation is really bad. So like her like from her waist up, it stays completely straight. So when she's scoped, you have 3 headshots essentially. Like a lot of the time.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, you can. Yeah, like if you know, like if the Widow has like a pocket or something, you can try to like keep challenging her and just farm ult off of her, and you're committing 2 people to you, which is good for the rest of your team. Or what you can do is, if she's up on high ground with a Mercy, just boom her off high ground, and then she doesn't have grapple to get back up.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Now, in this case, I feel like if I can get in the back to contest the Widow, I will. But I feel like with the Torb, it's kind of hard. I would need to get rid of the
yeah. You can't play like over aggressive with the Torb. It's super difficult.
Yeah.
He basically will put a turret up like in their back line, and then he'll just basically. It's basically just like a fuck you zone wherever that turret is.
Yeah, I see.
It's just like, okay, well now I can't play over aggressive. I can't go chase. So now I'm kind of just stuck behind my tanks. You don't really have anything else to do.
Gotcha.
It's like you want to try to also with Torb. It's like it's really easy to dink him, but like when you're dinking him, like he'll just pop overload sometimes, and you'll just get double shotgun shot.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah, that's not good.
What I do is against Torb is I pressure him and I get his overload and I just get out. Like I'll boot him and I'll just get out.
Okay, that makes sense
like,
because he's deadly at a close range in that shot.
Yeah. What I do is like I'll wait out the overload, I'll call it out to my team, and then you try to engage on him.
Okay.
So it's a lot easier like once you start like micromanaging it. Like once you start realizing like okay, like once you lose like 1v1 to the Torb because he has overload, then you have in the back of your mind like okay, well he's gonna pop overload if I get him low again, so I'm gonna wait it out the next time. Like it's a lot of like trial and error kind of thing with Lucio.
Gotcha.
Like playing Lucio aggressively is a lot of trial and error essentially. That's what I think about it. Also, with looping and meleeing into a grab is like the quickest way to get DPS down. So it's because it's cleave damage and melee has like a lingering hitbox, so you can spread it like across multiple people. And it also has like an AoE around it. So like the melee stays there for like a second and it can hit multiple things. So if you're trying to like farm your ult, you want to like shoot with melee, something like that, and you just want to like melee into it a couple times, and you get like a lot of ult charge off of that.
Okay, gotcha. Right now I'm just trying to I use the engagement, the beat drop to engage because I knew we were already in overtime, and if I could get them booped off and get my team to get a few picks, maybe we could win the fight, which is exactly what happened.
Yep. That honestly, like when it's overtime, just communicate to your team, like just like hey, like let's just push them with beat drop, like they're not gonna have anything like to defend against it. So it's like in overtime, like ults are really like valuable because they take a while to get up and they can win you a team fight easy.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like that's probably a huge difference between some of the elos is that you see a lot of the ult usage be really bad. Not necessarily that they can't combo or they can't do certain things correctly, but mainly because
just like positioning.
Yeah, or sometimes they just overuse ultimates or maybe
like they'll just pop them off cooldown.
Yeah, exactly. So like right there, I knew that they needed to get something over at the end. So I tried to keep my ultimate all the way to overtime so that I had an advantage going into the next fight, right? Yeah. So I think that's also very, especially on payload, where living just a few more seconds longer than the enemy team might be the difference between you getting them off of it and winning that fight or losing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
another payload map.
It's kind
Okay.
of weird.
Unlucky.
With yeah, honestly. Payload maps kind of suck for Lucio.
Yeah.
You're kind of just like a payload bot for most of the game.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that brings me to another question that I have. So,
Yeah.
I've heard two different styles of payload mapping, where sometimes the Lucio is the best person to stay on the payload, and so the Lucio will stay on the payload and contest it. If anybody comes through, they have the ability to contest it and make sure that person gets off. Or another style is the Lucio goes with the rest of the team up front, speed boosts them in and out of engagement, and then comes back and has somebody else like Ana or somebody contest the payload. What do you think is the best way for payload maps to do?
Well, like with that, it's different. So it's like wait, I think what you're thinking of is like kind of different because when Lucio's going up like with the team to like go for things, it's normally because you get a pick and then you're chasing staggers. Like that's like the only time you should really be going like up with the team, like is when your team is chasing and then they're going for staggers. Because the entire enemy team is trying to just get out now and regroup. So what you're doing is basically you're just trying to get ult charge, you're just trying to get your team in there, and then if things just go sour, then you get them out. Like, it's things like that. But normally if it's like, if your team wants to play more conservative, like around the payload, what you're going to be doing is like going to be sticking to the payload with your team, like for that, because you are the main engagement and disengagement with your team.
Gotcha.
And so with that, you're basically going to try to make the enemy, like especially on like watch point, you want to make the enemy team like drop off the high ground to you. Like you want to push it like down under, and then you want to get them down to you so that you can fight them like on even like playing ground kind of thing. And then you can start like moving them out into your team, like out of position. Like you can start doing things like that, like a lot easier once they come down to your level. You could also try to control high ground and like drop down on top of one of them or something, or you can go like chase squishy like early.
Okay. No, that definitely makes a lot of sense, and I think that's kind of what I did instinctually on this map. The first thing I usually do, well, at least on ladder, it just depends on the scrims and stuff like that. But as far as ladder goes, the first thing I usually do is I'll go back and I'll try to, from the top, from the very beginning, I'll try to wall ride all the way to the top like I did there. And I'll try to get a boop off whoever I can off the high ground.
Yeah.
Because the moment I do that, I can get, some picks, or maybe my team can get some picks based on the fact that they're off the high ground now.
Yeah, that's like, it's honestly like one of the most valuable things to do in the beginning, is to try to get like one of the tanks off high ground. I should have said that earlier for watch point, but you basically just want to, like, I just call that the Reddit shit.
Yeah.
Like whenever I ask my team, like if I do something like stupidly aggressive, basically, like I'll just ask my team like, hey, do you guys want to do the Reddit shit? And they're like, yeah, just go for it, stuff like that. It's just like you have to like communicate it with your team beforehand. Like you have to ask them if you can do it, because otherwise it's like okay guys, I'm gonna go do Reddit stuff, and they like for like Legion Gardens, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go do Reddit stuff, and they all go Lightroom without speed boost. It's just like counterproductive.
So obviously communicate whenever you're gonna be that aggressive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Unfortunately, in this case, I can't tell them, but it worked out for us in that case where I was able to get them a little bit off of the high ground.
Yeah. With it's really good. Like sometimes you don't need to like communicate it. Like sometimes in comp I'll just say like I'm gonna do it, and like I won't say when I'm going to do it, but like I'll say like when it happens.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to be talking a lot. You just need to say things like when it really matters, like the most. Like you don't have to say like, oh, I'm gonna be doing this. Okay, now I'm doing this. Like you can go like, okay, I did this. Let's go up on this now. Like kind of thing. your comms need to be like current a lot of the time, or it needs to be like a strategy like that's coming up like before this like certain thing. Like you have to expect things sometimes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If you, so I mean, because I know a lot of people get angry at when Lucios start doing Redditing things. You know, sometimes they'll get unnecessarily angry. Like I could just wall ride and they'll be like, "Stop Redditing." I'm like, but that's part of his kit. You know, so
yeah, exactly.
But I think like you said, you can remedy a lot of that by just being able to communicate when you're going to be able to do so. So that's a big part of it. Now, in this case, right now, there is a widow up front here. If I contest her, do you think that would? Oh, never mind. I killed her. All right, so it was a good.
Yeah.
I was gonna pose the question, but yeah.
For Widow on this map, you always like want to push at her. You basically want to control the high ground if you don't have like a diva or something. Like you are the main form of getting up there. Like there's no other way to do it. Also, the thing that you want to try to do is you can try to force Mercy to fly like away if she's stuck to like someone that you're trying to DPS.
Yeah.
So like you can try to like boop her somewhere and then she'll be forced to fly, and then what you can do is like after she flies you can try to like land a burst into her.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Or you can try to boop like the pocket away or something. Like and then force her to go to the pocket or away.
Oh my god, that was unlucky. I just got back and the Rhine just pinned me. Okay, that's just unlucky right there. That'll happen though, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, my team got the engagement anyway, so that's good.
Cool.
All right, so I got another question that I feel like a lot of people will have, and I had earlier on, and I kind of know the answer, but I want you to explain kind of what you think the mindset is about this. Some people say that when you leave spawn area as Lucio, some people will automatically speed boost, so by the time they get there they have enough time to get it back. Others say to not speed boost because you want to use that cooldown when you get there, and sometimes it's not necessarily when you get there. You might not have it because you have the ability to get there fast regardless. What's your take on getting out of spawn with speed boost?
So do you mean like first push or like the first like couple seconds like when you're coming out of spawn, or do you mean like after like if you die and then you come back to spawn?
If you in this case particularly, let's talk about when you die. So when you die and you come back as Lucio, is it better for you to speed boost out of it and then hope to get your cooldown when you come back, or do you just save your speed boost because you think you're fast enough to get back regardless?
Acknowledged.
For me, it's like by muscle memory, I hit it like just like off cooldown a lot of the time. Like if I just like I'm coming out of spawn, but if a thing that I should have said this earlier, but as a support, what you can do is you can look like through walls and you can see like where your team is positioned like really easily. So like you have walls like on your own teammates essentially. Yeah. So you can see and also the timer like when they die, so you can see that through the wall as well. So you can see like what's happening like before you even pop it, like if you're just looking like the right ways. So like a lot of the time, especially with like a fast sensitivity, it's really easy to do. But you can like look through the walls and see like where your team is positioning like right now, like if you're doing something else. So like you can like turn around like really quickly, look at like your Zen or something, and then like just turn like right back around. You can like look up top and you can see your teammates through there. Like it's just like a lot of like dumb stuff.
I was trying to 1v1 the Reaper and I just lost him there for a second and wasn't able to get him. But he was one.
Yeah.
But yeah, those. But you know, I think it is really weird. But I feel like sometimes at this elo, especially, like sometimes getting better at 1v1ing people is just about just trying to do it, just doing it and see if you can do it, and then mechanically getting better at it. You know, because it's never, like you said, it's for other things. It's kind of like a muscle memory too, right? Once you start learning how to engage people. you become better at doing it with that certain character, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, for me, it was like, I played like a lot of FFA, so
Okay.
I just kind of learned, like, like, obviously, like, FFA wasn't around, like, in the earlier days of Overwatch, so,
Yeah.
like, I didn't do, like, that stuff, like, back then, but, the ways, like, that you can learn to do things, like, I would say, like, the best ways to get better, like, at Lucio is to, like, practice your wall rides, like, very frequently. Wall riding is super key, like, to getting around and, like, getting back in taxi and stuff like that, like,
Gotcha.
but with 1v1ing, FFA helps so much. It really helps you, like, juke and get used to, like, other people's aiming styles, and it also helps you, like, understand, like, resource management and getting the enemy resources out so that you can then kill them.
Yeah. Okay, well that makes sense.
It's like a lot of, like, weird micromanaging, but it'll really help play styles, like, once you get used to it.
Okay, well yeah, that's definitely. Oh, okay. Oh, I got a soldier coming at me. All right. Oh, I wanted to beat to save a few people, but I think I'm some people. So that's another thing. What about Soldier's ult? Do you think his ult is worth beat dropping to, or do you think that? Yeah.
It's difficult. Like, so for that, it's like you had a Zen, but it also one thing you want to do, you want to hit select like a lot, like your tab button, so like you can look at like your teammates, because now if you look under the teammates, you can see like their ult charge and like what their ults are at.
Yeah.
So like you can know like what to beat drop, like so like if you know like they have grab or something, and you can see like, oh, my Zen has trans, so I'm gonna beat drop something else. So when it comes to like beat dropping soldier ult, it's really finicky. It's
Okay.
mainly just because it's really situational. Like if he's in like a really bad position, like sometimes, or like if you have your main shield up front, then there sometimes like not a real reason to beat drop, because what is he gonna do? Like you have a shield, and like you'll probably have like a diva or something, so like just run at him.
Gotcha.
But if he's like up on like high ground or something, and like he's like no one can really get up to him, beat drop, like you might as well try to save your team. And you also want to try to like amp speed so that you can get out of LOS easy or something.
Okay. So maybe so. Okay. So it obviously is going to be dependent on what happens in that fight.
Yeah.
Whether you beat drop or not. That makes a lot of sense.
A lot of things like for Lucio, like beat dropping, popping amp, and stuff like that. Like it's all dependent on like what is happening currently. So
Yeah.
that's why it's really hard to give like a dead base answer. Because a lot of it is just like, what's happening with my team now? What's happening in this team fight? Who do they have, like, alive? It's kind of just like stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's something to think about. I think that's just something that people have to practice. Just play the character as much as possible and see for yourself the different situations. Because I think even at the best, at the highest level of Lucio's, there's gonna be moments where you instinctively know, okay, this might happen here, this might happen there. But you might just beat drop in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just because it's a risk reward type thing. Sometimes you're like, oh, I need to beat, and then if you don't do it, or you hold it too long, or if you do it the other way where you're doing it and it's not,
You popped it too early.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of learning it, like a memory.
It's like you basically I learned a lot of things from just watching my teammates as Lucio.
Okay.
So like I learned like how main tanks want to play like aggressive. Like I learned like when they want to play passive, when they want to play aggressive. So then I give them the information, which is my auras, so that they can use my auras to determine when they want to play passive, when they want to play aggressive. So that's what I do personally, but it's like you can, when you look at an enemy, you can kind of tell, like, by the way that they position themselves, like, if they have no, like, you can tell when Ryan has Shatter, when he's, like, trying to play, like, in an open area, like, at, like, a weird angle. So then, what you can try to do is you can try to position yourself away from your team, like on the sidelines, and still give your team like the aura boost. But what you'd be doing is like you're positioning yourself for a beat drop, essentially.
Yeah.
So that you don't get hit by the CC ult or like any ult in general, and then you can beat drop your team, like really like scot-free, essentially.
Okay.
So like beat drop in my eyes is it's just a saving ult. Like you're doing it to save like either a person or two people or your entire team.
I just want to let chat know that I just took out 2 people and I'm on fire on my team by myself. But no, I see exactly what you mean. And here's another thing too. Like I find myself in positions where I think I can get a pick out of you know what, because I feel like, oh, they use certain cooldowns. Like in that situation that I just found myself in, I saw that taking the advantage, you know, would be helpful, and it did. I beat dropped, and then I saw that they weren't able to get back in time, so I tried to engage on them, and it worked. How many times do you think, or I guess you mentioned this with the FFA before, but do you think there's a difference between practicing in the FFA and just having like different comps and stuff like that let you know when to engage and how? Because I feel like FFA works mechanically to find out how to 1v1, but how about in a comp? Like,
yeah.
How do you not get flamed by your team, basically?
I gotcha. So like, how do you not like run in and feed?
Basically, yeah, exactly. Not necessarily. I mean, obviously, you want to be aggressive, but not feed. What's the balance on that?
Exactly. A good way to balance it out is just by learning, but like I feel like one of the best ways to like keep yourself like you have to be like disciplined. Like you have to know when you want to engage, when you don't want to engage. Like you have to know just like when to play passively. Like you kind of have to like look at the enemy team and you have to say like, hey, like if I dive on this person, what'll happen to me? Like realistically, like what will happen to me? Like if it's like a McCree, I know I'm gonna just get flash fanned and I'm gonna die instantly and I'm gonna get tilted. Like it's just what's gonna happen. Like so like in terms of like not feeding, like you just have to play like as like jukey as you can. Like just juke like your brains out basically. And you have to try to get resources and juke.
But like also to that point, like when you become really aggressive, do you feel like like maybe like that Reaper where he doesn't use the Wraith to engage but to get out? Do you do the same with speed
to disengage?
Boost? Do you just strictly use it to get out, or how does that work when you engage with an enemy?
It's like, okay, so I typically use amp like when I want to engage with like a lot of speed and be able to get out with it, and like sometimes you'll have to just pop it on yourself, like either to disengage, like if you're playing like a Reddit kind of style, like you're gonna be by yourself or with a DPS. So if you're like with a DPS, you want to be like reliant for them. Like you want to be their source of like healing and like peel. Like if you both are trying to get onto one person, basically.
Gotcha.
But for like a solo kind of Lucio playstyle, you're kind of just using your amps like as you want them. Like you just kind of pop them whenever you feel like you'll need that specific aura.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that makes a lot of sense when just using, basically it's like kind of like the theme of the night where, you know, just Lucio is not necessarily, well, I mean he is definitely mechanically skilled hero, but he's also like a thinking man support where you have to just keep in mind how your cooldowns are going to work for certain engagements and disengagements and flanks and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that comes with time as well, just playing the character, knowing different situations.
A lot of the things that you want to do as well, like in the back line, you want to be like looking at like positions. Like you want to be like, obviously it's like different for this because you're not able to comp, but like you're gonna be scouting like a lot for your team. Like you are the scout. Like you are basically calling out like the enemy's positions, and like if they're like easily diveable, like they're not playing like with like in a group like with their team, it's you want to call them out so that your team like doesn't get picked off by them or something.
Okay.
But in terms of like aura management and stuff, it's kind of weird because it's just like whatever your team needs at the time. Like you'll kind of know just like by experience, but you typically want to stay like on heal aura for defense, like a lot of the time. But with speed on defense, it's mainly like to get positioning quicker. Like that's what you're gonna be like. It's get positioning quicker and for kiting, and kiting is basically getting your team out. Like you're essentially like running around like the enemy. Like you're kind of just like stalling them out.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, hey, that makes a lot of sense. I think we learned a lot about different types of styles of Lucio and when to do and stuff like that. I think that for a lot of people who watch this and try to learn how to play the character, definitely at low type of elos, communication is definitely key. So that's definitely one of the bullet points we should focus on. Don't be afraid to be aggressive, but be smart enough to know when to not be aggressive. I think it's a good takeaway as well.
Exactly.
Make sure you and make sure you understand the enemy's team's cooldowns. That will allow you to let your team know when to engage and disengage, and take advantage of certain moments, certain boops, certain things without having to heavily rely on being too aggressive. Obviously, play it when the team it can't deal with you. You obviously go all in. If they're contesting you too much, then you play it back a little bit. So I think that's definitely key. So yeah, for anybody watching this, definitely keep that in mind. If you have any more questions, we'll probably delve into Lucio a little bit more. We'll do other characters. This is kind of like a test run for us. We'll try to do other characters and see how everything else does. But Chrissy, thank you so much for admitting me to the school of Lucio for Chrissychan. This was a lot of fun. I think it was very informative. I know that at least I learned a couple of things that I kind of did instinctually, but now I kind of understand how it works, and I think that I have a better idea and understanding about how to be more of a communication person with Lucio, which I think I struggled with in the past. Sometimes I just did things instinctually, didn't let my team know, and I was too aggressive and fed a lot, or something like that. So I think this is a good way to do that. So Chrissy, thank you for being on the show again. It's always a pleasure to have you. Oh, by the way, I never got to ask you this on the other on the interview portion, but were you last time we spoke a while ago? I think you mentioned that you didn't have a team. Were you able to find one?
I've tried out for like 2 teams so far.
Okay,
but I haven't decided on one yet. I've just been trying out for different teams, seeing what I like.
Gotcha. Well, teams, if you're interested, he's trying out for different stuff. Definitely a great Lucio. Somebody who can somebody who can definitely be an asset to your team. So for sure, keep him in mind. He's gonna be one of the Lucios to look out for in the CGL. All right, so thank you for everybody for stopping by. Chrissychan, obviously, Evan Vasquez for popping in, and Minty as well in the background. So thank you everybody for being here. Chat, I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna have another guest. We're gonna do an interview both Thursday and Friday. Thursday we're gonna have Scary Dragons on the show. We're gonna talk to him about his stream, and then Friday we're going to have the org leader for Outplay Esports. His name is Galaxy, and he's gonna talk about being an org leader and just making sure that everybody he gets his players and stuff and everything about how to get his org out there. So we'll see you for Thursday and Friday. That's going to be at Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Friday is going to be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just because we're going to try to, talk about EU stuff. And EU is going to be, invited to watch that. So check out those. If you haven't seen my Twitter, check out twitter.com/dazzle167. And I will see you guys next time. See you later.